Online, and I'm so thankful to be here this morning. And I would like to present Margaret Gardner, the Your DEQ Online Change Manager. Margaret makes all the change happen and also is involved in training support. So Margaret, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Jessica. Yeah, hi, good morning, everybody. It was great to hear the introductions this morning, and just knowing that this program is, this 3-day conference happens, and that this program is supported to strengthen the trade. This is really helpful to know that, and we're excited about that. So change management, the people side of a change, I don't really do the change myself, but I help the organization and the public navigate that change. So we go from our current state of paper forms. In the case of wastewater operator certification, I believe there are some paper processes, and then at least on the DEQ side, there are electronic processes. What we're moving to is a completely cloud-based system. So this is brand new. It's a huge leap forward. Couldn't happen any sooner. We're just delighted that this is happening. So I'm excited to talk with you all today and join Jessica in this process. She's going to also show you a little preview of the system. The timeline, we'll talk a little bit about that, I believe, but as Matt mentioned, this is in progress. It's a project that's in progress. So we can expect that in the next year or so, we would be looking at launching. And you'll, of course, be informed about it. We continue to visit the conferences that happen for wastewater operators. And we also have a list that you can sign up for that we'll talk about towards the end. All right.
Margaret, I just want to be sure that you can see my screen.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Always good to start off on that note.
Affirmative. Yes, I can see it.
Thank you, Margaret.
So what we're going to talk about today, what is Your DEQ Online? Let's talk about what that actually means, what that is. Also, the current and future participating programs, with the understanding that some people in the room may actually already be using the system for programs at DEQ that have already started to move into the new system. And you may also have ties or connections with some of the other programs. Stormwater comes to mind, for instance. What this means for wastewater operators, we'll talk about that. We'll do a little preview so that you can get familiar with what your DEQ Online looks like, and then how to stay informed, as I mentioned, how to make a connection with the Gov Delivery bulletin list, where there's great information to keep abreast of. And then we'll have discussion. We're delighted to answer questions as we go, or answer them at the end, or both, however people like to do that. So what we'll probably need as presenters is for someone to give us the heads up that there's a question and let us know so that we could take a little pause as we go. And let's move along forward with the slides. Great. So what is Your DEQ Online? It's an environmental data management system. So they call them EDMSs. That acronym can easily be confused with electronic document management. So the communications group at our agency renamed it Your DEQ Online because it's yours, it's ours, it's everybody's. It's a cloud-based platform. It's used for submitting and processing all kinds of compliance mechanisms, permits, licenses, certifications, reporting obligations, and other types of submittals. We call them submittals as an umbrella of activity that happens on this site. So with Your DEQ Online, you would be able to log in from any browser. I say we have here except Internet Explorer, which has gone the way of the dodo recently. It's no longer supported, but Edge, Chrome, Safari, all these other browsers are perfectly useful. Make safe and secure online payments. That's huge, going from paper check to being able to receive electronic bank transfer, credit card payments. Also, you can expect consistent service across the whole state. There's no, this region does it this way, this region does it that way. This helps us with that consistency across the state. You can also search published data. The information in the system that's published by DEQ is immediately available in a public records portion of the system. It's not all of our public records for DEQ, but it's the records that are in the Your DEQ Online system. Also, you get dedicated expert support. This is a technology solution, and technology needs support at times. So for questions, for technical issues, there is a help desk available. Let's see, let's go to the next step here. This is another exciting element of it. Because we're in the day and age where this can happen, we can have a secure cloud-based system that is accessible through a browser. That means that if you can open a browser on any device, you can log into the system. So it's accessible in that way. You would log into the system with a username and password through a portal, and you could use your computer, cell phone, tablet. I've seen advertisements for tablets built into refrigerators. Who knows why you would need to do that, but if you needed to, you could. So that accessibility means that you don't need to download an app for this. It's just log in through a browser and you're in the same system as you would be through any browser. And it scales and adjusts as any online system that's kind of mobile enabled will scale and rearrange the information to fit the screen, but it'll all be there. So accessibility is really important. Let's go to the next slide. I see something in the chat. I'm going to check and see if it's a question. Okay, I don't see a question. Great.
And Margaret, can I just say for a moment that accessibility feature is really wonderful too. It's for the public, but it also helps DEQ staff with, I was just talking with some inspectors the other day, and they take that, they use Your DEQ Online in the field, right? So it's great in the field for you, also great for DEQ staff. So this wonderful accessibility feature is so great because it can be used by all. So, I was a few weeks ago talking with, receiving some feedback from folks in stormwater, and they were saying, we love that we're able to do this at our desks and do this while we're sitting, in the parking lot in our cars. So it's really, that mobile platform has been a really great feature that folks have really loved and found very useful for them.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Jessica. Also, just to say what is, we're still at this hopefully tail end of a global pandemic. A lot of people have shifted to telecommuting, if at all possible, and DEQ is part of that movement. We've 80% of our staff have moved to telecommuting. The more that we can be accessing online systems and using them to connect with everybody, the more we can continue to provide service without interruption because we're not in the office. So it's helpful that way too. I wanted to talk about the programs that are in scope really briefly. There are waves of progress that we're making. So the first phase has included the programs that you see on this slide that are bold. So asbestos, gasoline transporter, we have many programs at DEQ, and about 25 of these programs or so are part of this project. Once we complete the project, there will likely be more that add on. But you can see that there are plenty of other groups that are lined up to migrate to the new system. And I think we have a question about the transcript. Let's see, where did we have that question? I don't want to skip over. Oh, I see. How would we get a receipt for reimbursement from an employer? And is this related to this conference? Or is this a question about Your DEQ Online?
It's related to DEQ, the certification renewals.
Right. Yeah, good question. So we're going to show you the system a little bit, give you a little sneak peek. But I will say that the system is based on your user login. So when you set up your login, it brings you, your account would bring you to a dashboard where your information would pretty much be at your fingertips. So you would be able to access any documents related to your certification, and I believe any payments any receipts for payments you'd be able to generate. So it would be all there on your dashboard. Good question. And more to come on that, because Jessica's going to take us on a little tour to look at a program that's similar. I believe you're going to be talking about the asbestos certification. Is that right, Jessica? Because it's similar. Because we're in progress with the development of the piece for your group, for your professional area, we can't really show you that. It's not built yet. We're in the process of testing it, but we can show you what the system looks like, the look and feel of it, kind of some of the features, and what it enables people to do with their business with DEQ. Let's see. So these are the programs that are included. I think we can move forward on this. Okay. Jessica, is this where you pick up, or do you want me to cover this?
Yeah, I can pick up here, Margaret. Yeah, thank
Okay,
you.
great.
Margaret,
Yeah,
and
sure.
Margaret and I have a dual
Tag
presentation
team.
style when we present, so you get the community effort of DEQ.
That's right. I'm tagging you in. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Margaret. So as Margaret mentioned, we have a lot of programs that we call live in the system. So programs and regulated community members who are using the live system. For wastewater operators, they are going to be joining the Your DEQ Online system family, if you will. It looks like early next spring, late next winter, early next spring. And the reason why we don't have a date on that, the reason why we can't say, okay, with the wastewater operator certification program is transitioning to Your DEQ Online on March 7th, is because, as Margaret said, this is a system that, that is built, and we add new programs as it's coming in. And so that involves working with the wastewater, operator staff to really hone in and to test the system before it goes live. So that allows us and provides us the opportunity to really test and get to know how the system operates for each individual regulated communities. So for individuals operating in air, land, and water quality. So what does this mean for wastewater operators? So when we get into next year, when we get into 2023, I know it seems far off, we're already kind of halfway through the year. Your DEQ Online will be the place where operators can set up and manage your individual user account. And I would like to draw attention here to a phrase that I'm using, which is the individual user account. So individual folks, you, I, other folks will be setting up accounts as ourselves as individuals versus, say, for the city of Hermiston, or for one particular job site, or for one particular company. So we will come in as consultants or responsible officials, and we will manage our individual user accounts. So part of the account setup process next year, when Margaret and I join folks and we're helping folks get set up, part of the account setup process is really thinking about, okay, how am I setting up this individual account for me? And so that's an important distinction within the system, and maybe a different operating procedure than what we've had before. But this is based on individual user accounts, as I said, versus accounts shared by location, or between employees within one particular company. Your DEQ Online is the one-stop shop. It is the place where you'll be able to apply for the wastewater operator certificate applications and the supervisory operator designations. And so these two important submittals will be moving from the paper processes to the Your DEQ Online process. And what's really great about this is, as Margaret mentioned, is that one particular place. So Richard made mention of, okay, how can I get a receipt? The receipt is on the dashboard. You could also print that off or email that off and send it to your your employer. So it is the place, that the central collection spot for documents, to make payments, to save those receipts. So if your household operates anything like mine, paper receipts get lost, right? We're wondering, okay, where did that receipt end up? And you'll always be able to find it on the Your DEQ Online dashboard. So it's really nice, because it's also that online kind of file saving space as well, which I know in my modern life, I very much appreciate having that dedicated space. As Margaret mentioned, one of the new exciting features of the system that has been, that has been in progress is that we have added a wide variety of payment options. So we have 3 payment methods in Your DEQ Online. When the system first launched in the fall, we had 2 payment methods. the traditional pay by check, which is great, and so to have that option. And we also had electronic bank transfer. Just new of this year, just as a few months ago, we added in credit card payments. So we have those 3 payment options. The credit card payment option comes with a 2.3% convenience fee. DEQ does not see that. That goes straight to US Bank. But the wonderful thing about those 3 payment options is that, if you and your office have it set up for traditional check, that's great. There'll be a mailbox to send that directly to, the direct wire transfer of just having your bank and account number, and then also the credit card option. So it flows in line with many business practices. So you have those 3 payment options, and for the electronic options, it's secure. It's a secure payment. So to have that peace of mind. One of the other wonderful things that we can do with your DEQ Online is you can exchange messages directly with DEQ staff. I was talking a couple of weeks ago with Tiffany and Kimmy, who are central figures for the wastewater operator certification program. And they were talking about one of the great things about this is that you can talk directly with staff online versus playing phone tag or playing email tag. So what's really nice is when we say that your DEQ Online is that one-stop shop, it truly is. We can put in submittals, and submittal is the word we use for applications, permits. So we can put in submittals, make payments, have that file storage, save receipts there, as well as use that platform to communicate with DEQ staff. So as Margaret mentioned, the largest modernization effort in DEQ, and what this really, really helps us with is standardizing processes, but also being super efficient, right? And so that's a solid pillar aspect of this public service, is that it's all centralized, it's standardized, and that really helps us to make sure that we are being efficient and effective with this public service. One of the central places for your DEQ Online that I'm going to show you in just a moment is kind of a dashboard and overview. And so your DEQ Online, if you're thinking this is a big system, there's a lot of places that we can go here. There's a lot of options and choices. One of the things about the system that I truly love, and I know Margaret also loves as well, is that it's designed to be user friendly, right? It's designed for you. So it's not designed for DEQ staff. It's not designed for, kind of just a partial use to take over legacy systems. It's designed to have a user friendly interface. Margaret, anything that you would like to add before I leave this slide?
Yeah, so one of the things that a system like this allows is that if somebody at DEQ is on vacation, somebody else can step in. That ability to exchange messages with staff means that you're for sure reaching the right place. And even if somebody has someone else covering for them, that information won't get lost, and it becomes part of the history of your exchange in the system as well. Really, everything we do is part of the public record and can all be requested, information requests to whatever activities we are engaged in at DEQ, because we're a state agency and we serve the public. But if our systems don't talk to each other, it's harder for us to find that information. It's harder for people to know who to contact. By having that one system that you can connect with DEQ in, it keeps that history of the interactions, the conversations, so you get better customer service. So yeah, no, I think that you did cover a lot of great stuff. So I just wanted to add that.
And Margaret, can you see the dashboard?
Yeah, I sure can.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome. So without further ado, this is the favorite part of the presentation. I love doing this, and Margaret knows my face lights up when I talk about this, because I want to show you the look and feel of the system, right? What to expect, what is forthcoming in 2023. So this is your DEQ Online, what we affectionately call YDO. So your DEQ Online, when you sign up for an account, and the wonderful thing is Margaret and I are talking with you all today, and we also run account registration workshops. So you'll see us today. You will probably see us much more in the future. So we do run a registration workshop for how do we get to this point, right? What do I need to sign up for an account? So we have a lot of support for that, Margaret and I have user guide support. We run live workshops. We record those workshops. We also come to presentations such as this one. So we're so thankful for the presentation invite. So we have a lot of support. So we will help you get to this point when the time comes. But when you have registered for an account, when you open up Your DEQ Online, as I said, this is the cloud-based, so we're not, downloading any phone apps. This is all on with a URL. When you open up to Your DEQ Online, it opens up into something called the dashboard. And just like the dashboard on a car that tells us this is the system overview, right? I need to change my oil. This is what I need for gas. The dashboard in Your DEQ Online tells us the same information. And so I'd like to go through this slowly to kind of get the look and feel of the system, and then to show you how this is streamlined for a submittal process. I'm using the Asbestos program this morning for the demo because that's live in the system, and they have kind of a certificate similar certificate process for wastewater operators. So I'm going to show you how the look and feel is of the system, and to give a little sneak preview here. And so the dashboard provides a lot of valuable information. As I said, it's kind of the overview, the health check, the pulse of your particular account. And remember, this is your individual account. So this is unique to you as a customer, as a technology user. So on the dashboard account, over on the left-hand side, I have this information section, and this is where you'll receive correspondence from DEQ. So notice it says correspondence because this is a demo account. I don't have correspondence from DEQ staff, but say I did a submittal and Margaret said to me, Jessica, this looks great, but I need, for instance, an erosion control plan. It's at the top of my head today. I'm thinking, an erosion control plan. Then it would show up that, oh, you have a message from a DEQ staff member that requires attention for this particular submittal to go through. So we have the information section here that will show, hey, you have a message from DEQ staff. We also post announcements below for system announcements. As with any technology system, sometimes we have announcements that say, oh, we've updated this particular feature, or this particular feature, there may be something to be aware of, right? A new button or a new icon. So we put those messages there as a way to reach out to you that we've made updates to the system. In this middle section here titled Submittals, this would be where you would keep track of your submittals. So if you have new permits or new applications, it would show up here in this particular list. So what's really awesome about Your DEQ Online is if you're a wastewater operator, but you also operate in stormwater or 401 dredge and fill, this is the one-stop shop. So it's not that you're doing an account for just wastewater operation or just 401 or just stormwater. This one particular account will serve all of your needs, all of your reporting requirements. So when we look at this particular dashboard, we have the information section, we have a section on submittals, and then we have a section over here to the far right titled New Submittals. So this will be the place that if you're applying for a wastewater operator, supervisory certification, that you would apply here on the side for New Submittals. So I'll be showing how to do that in a moment, but I wanted to give you the look and feel. And here I want to point this out because Richard asked that really great question this morning about, okay, well, how do I, if I'm tracking something, how do I, where's the information? How does it show up? It shows up by receipts, and you can download those PDFs, and you'll be able to find it. So if you notice, it says, oh, permits and transaction history that shows up here. And so there's a lot of information that's present on this particular dashboard page. And one of the things that I love when I'm working with folks in the regulated community about this dashboard is it's that very, very clear picture, that very clear overview. So this is the main starting page that every time you log into the system, it will take you to this page. So let's get into how.
Do you mind if I add something, yeah. Jessica?
Yeah,
sorry
please,
to interrupt.
Margaret. No, please.
So one of the features of the system is that every time you log in anew, it actually brings you to wherever you were the last time. But this column to the left that you see that has all those little icons like file folders, if you look at the very top of it, you can always navigate back to the dashboard all the way to the left. If you could put your cursor over there, Jessica, yeah, not the necessarily the hamburger, but when you go, if you could click on the dashboard, Jessica, where you just were.
Yeah.
So you can see little icons by clicking that hamburger, the 3 bars, we call it the hamburger. Some call it the sandwich. That's when you saw the description of each of those. But even right here, you'll get familiar with what's on your left column to navigate to the dashboard, new submittals, editing submittals, and all the way up at the bottom, you'll see an ID badge. That's the your account information. So when you sign up for an account, that's where all the action happens to get it started. And that's where you can select submittal group and delegate to consultants if you need to. I don't think that's necessary for wastewater operators, but you can see where your information is, your address, your name, your contact information. So just lay of the land there are these nice ways to navigate. And then when Jessica clicked the dashboard, that opened up other options, but you can always come right back to the little icon at the top that is this view of all that's going on specifically for your account. Thanks, Jessica.
Yeah. So I'm going to, let's get into what does this look like? What is a submittal, right? When, as I said, the term submittal is the term that we use in the system for permits, applications, licenses, certificates. It's called submittal. So that's a word you'll hear quite a bit when you're interacting with your DEQ Online. So I'm going to show one that will have a kind of a similar look and feel, but regardless of what type of submittal, there's a standard process, a standard design. And as I said, that's really nice because if you're working between multiple programs, it's nice to have that look and feel, right? So regardless of, you know, wastewater, stormwater, asbestos, gasoline transporter, we have the same look and feel of the system. And so I'm just going to click here on apply for an asbestos trainer provider accreditation application. And this little pin that shows up in the system, the colorful pinwheel is the system thinking. So you'll get to see this. And I was double checking my internet this morning just to be sure. Oh, so here we go. So this logs in, this opens up to this particular application. And once this application launches, there are 5 tabs across the top, and here's standard. So regardless of, as I said, what type of application or permit or license I'm applying for, we have the standard basic design. The forms change, right? Different information is being asked for, but the look of the system, the process, what we call the workflow, this work steps of the system. So the first tab that opens up is to the form is called basic information. And for each of our submittals, that basic information is going to change depending on the nature of the form. So the type of information that's being asked changes. But on that basic tab, you have information of name, company, addresses, and then the form moves down. So each of our forms are scrolling capable. And some forms short, some forms much longer in process. But we have that basic information tab is the mainstay. It's the cake. it's the birthday cake.
And then Jessica, if you don't mind me adding to that, yeah. Because you have an account, the information you've already entered for your account, it's already populated. You don't need to keep entering it. The basic information in the case of this asbestos submittal is what additionally is needed to do the submittal. This particular submittal asks for information about the training provider accreditation. And so there's additional information besides the user's basic account information. But that basic info is for the submittal. When you go to your My Account area, your basic information that will populate into the form is already in the system. You don't need to enter and re-enter the same data. So thanks, Jessica. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, that's great because it's intuitive, right? And so all these time-saving measures, that we love. And so yeah, one of the things also you'll notice up here in basic info, there's this tiny red exclamation point. And what that says is there's information that needs to be filled out on this page in order for you to go forward. So what's really nice about that is unlike a paper application where we can, forget to fill out, line X, Y, and Z all the way at the bottom, submit the form. 14 days later, it arrives to DEQ. It takes 14 days to get back. We don't have any of that here. We have an instantaneous, okay, Jessica needs to input this information before you go any farther. The human fail safe, I guess you can say. So that's really nice because, as I said, it tells you, okay, this is the required information, that you need. So it has that red exclamation point. It also denotes that by red boxes, and it says, this is required. This is what I need. So as I said, we love that, and we've received a lot of feedback on that. That's a really helpful message. I see.
You have a question. Yeah, thank you for noticing that. Blake has a question. Would the pre-filled saved data work for work experience, job duties sections? It sounds like you're asking specifically about the typical application, and because the system isn't configured yet for wastewater operators, I wouldn't be able to answer that. I'm not sure if Kimmy is here in the room with us. She would have some insight into how it's being configured, but I would assume that wherever possible, information would be carried over. And wherever possible, there'd be a prompt to just check it, make sure it's up to date. If you're once the system launches, there may be the need to load all of that information the first time you use the system. I'm not exactly sure how data is migrating from older systems, but going forward, wherever there are opportunities to reduce the amount of repetitive entry, we would look for that. That's part of our mission with this system, is to reduce those kind of administrative extra steps that just wouldn't be necessary in a system like this. So I would say wait and see. I don't have an answer for you, but that's kind of the spirit of what we're working towards, is making this easier to just get to the parts where you need to do the work, get to the parts where you need to provide the answers without making you repeat and do extra administrative stuff. Wherever we can streamline, we're looking to do that. So thank you for that question. Really appreciate that. And I'll actually bring that back to the team to just kind of check in with them for my own knowledge, because that's a really good point for me to be aware of. So thanks, Blake.
And Margaret, this is Kimmy. I am here.
Oh, yay.
I just wanted to add a quick, because we had a question about this earlier. All attachments, everyone's going to have to re-upload any of their attachments the first time around, because obviously the paper won't be scanned. But after that, everything will be available. All the CEUs that are submitted will be available in the account in a previous submittal. So you won't necessarily be able to just forward that same exact application, but you'll be able to retrieve all of the attachments from your previous application for the next application, if that helps anybody.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Kimmy. So when we initiate a system like this, there's a transition. And that means potentially, just in terms of the account setup, there's effort there that is a one-time effort. You won't have to set up your account every time. But also, doing your first submittal in a new system means checking all the boxes, making sure all the information is there to kind of set the stage. So there may be additional entry that would have been done on a paper form before, just to set this up and set it in motion. And then that would be carried forward with the next renewal or the next application. So thank you so much, Kimmy. And I appreciate all your work that you're doing to make sure that this is configured and tested, and to kind of get this ready for folks. Super exciting.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Thanks for that great question, Blake.
So that leads us right into, Kimmy, that's perfect, because that leads us right into, if we're talking about attachments, I'd like to show you that next section. Love it when that happens. Particularly at 8:30 in the morning, I'll take that as a win at the end of the week. So we have the basic information, and as Kimmy pointed out, the second tab over here is titled attachment. And this is the place where you upload attachments such as, diplomas or certificates for the needed submittal. And the wonderful thing about here in the system is it not only will tell you, okay, these are the attachments that are needed, but it will also tell you the file formats that are accepted, right? A Word document, a PDF, right? Because we all know that, those documents can come in many forms. So it will say, okay, this attachment is needed and here are the accepted file forms for that. And then you'll be able to see, you'll be able to click and say, okay, this is uploaded, and then you'll be able to see that it in fact is uploaded and not think about it, not wonder if it's wandering around in the ether. You'll be able to see that it is uploaded and available there. So as Kimmy mentioned, this is really nice because it gives you that real-time feedback that the attachment is here and is available for that particular application. The third tab over, also with the exclamation point, is the payments tab. And notice this is so don't worry about the 320. This is for this particular application. So I don't want anyone this morning going, oh golly. But this is the payments tab. And as I mentioned earlier, we have 3 payment forms. You can mail by check. You can do an electronic bank transfer and also credit card. And so, this screen will look and change. This is a test demo site. So you'll be able to see, and it will say, how would you like to pay? And it will walk you through those payment steps, and you'll be able to choose. And you can say, oh, I'd like to pay by check or, transfer or credit card. And if you, for instance, say, I want to pay by check, and then a couple days later, your accounting team says, no, I would like you to pay by credit card, you can go in and delete that selection and then go in and make the choice to pay by credit card. And so if you choose that pay by check option, but then the circumstances change and you would like to do an electronic payment, you can, there's a wonderful trash can icon that will come up and you can choose another payment option. As I said, the payments are secured. And once you make a payment through our financial information management system, it goes into another information system. It puts you, you'll come back into your DEQ Online and there's a receipt that populates. So you can save that for your records or save that to send to your supervisor or your accounting team for reimbursement. So that's an important part of the system because many of the folks who use our system are, do the payments, but they need to be reimbursed by other folks. So they are using the system actively for that. So the receipts are always available for your accounting needs or reimbursement needs.
And this is one of those benefits of the system, is that rather than finding a stamp, finding an envelope, putting a check in the mail, waiting for that to arrive, waiting for it to be processed, this system, if you were to do the ACH option, which is the bank transfer option, the payment is immediate, and the system immediately reflects that the payment is made and DEQ can continue forward with our next step. So it saves huge amounts of time. It also saves you a stamp with the ever increasing little stamp price, right, of mailing something physically to someone. It saves you the need to run something on a printer. It basically, it cuts down on time and it cuts down on your need to move papers around. Also, just for your knowledge, it also sends the payment directly to a lockbox at the bank. So when you send a check, the new way of sending a check, if you choose that method, would be to use a submittal receipt with this application or with this submittal that has the bank address on it and mail it to that location. It goes directly to the bank. So if you do choose a check and if it goes by mail and you find a stamp, envelope, etc., you also need to include the submittal receipt. Because it goes directly to the bank lockbox, it doesn't have to go through DEQ, our mail room, our people who unwrap the mail and sort the checks and send them to the right department. It still saves time significantly. So whatever form of payment, you're going to be saving some time on the turnaround for this. Thanks, Jessica.
Yeah, thank you, Margaret. So basic information, kind of the cake of the application, attachments for any needed supporting documents, and then the payment tab. The next 2 tabs, so the next tab is the review tab. And this tab provides the overview for this particular submittal. So it says, okay, here are the fees and payments associated that you pay. Here are all the attachments, right? So this is another place where you can say, okay, I've double checked. Here are the attachments that are showing up, so there's no guessing game here. So this review tab, once I've done the application, it will actually provide a PDF copy of the application, which is really nice. Many employers ask for the PDF copy, but also for your personal records, you can have too. So information is stored in your DEQ Online, but you can download that PDF and you could print it if you would like, if you keep paper files, but it is available, and it will be available in the electronic PDF version for you to download and you know, have for future use. The last but not least is
do you mind if we go back to the review section? I just want to point out how helpful it is to see that there's a little X with basic info listed there, and you can see the red of the payment. So it gives you a clear idea of, as you're reviewing, that, oh, there are a couple pieces to complete. And once the basic information is completed, the attachment, whatever steps come before review, once those are all taken care of, the little PDF icon in the green bar that you see will be active, and you'd be able to click that to see the preview. So when you see that document, that's where your name and address and all that populates. You're like, I changed my address since my last time. You can back out of it. I'm not sure if you'd have to just start the resubmittal over again, but you can back out and go to your account, to the My Account area, correct your address. But it's a great fail-safe to make sure that all the correct information is there when you can review like that. So thank you for letting me interrupt with that, Jessica.
Yeah, and Margaret, on that fail-safe too, you know, as I said, with the paper applications, we can mail it in and could have, you know, kind of this round robin of, oh, this part was forgot, this part was forgot, you know, that's built into this system. So the submission, there's a few things that we need to do in order to certify that we've provided accurate and up-to-date information. The first thing that we have is, it's telling me up top, Jessica, you did not fill out everything. So this is there, right? So here's another fail-safe, right? Not only it's saying we're not going to let you submit this, the point blank, it's not going to let me submit this because it needs more information from me this morning. But so that part is there. But there's a couple of things that we need to do in order to certify and submit. And this is that layer of security that's super important, you know, both for all of us personally, also you know, so that we're operating effectively for DEQ. But we have a certification statement where it says, you know, I have permission to do this, right? And so I've read and agreed to that permission statement. It'll be a toggle that you know, just says yes, right? The check the box. When you set up your account, you will set up answers to security questions. And so in your account setup and registration process, in Margaret and I's account registration workshops, we talk about this, but you'll set up answers to security questions. And this is much like, you know, banking or signing into Comcast does this too, right? Just an added layer of security. If you forget them, don't worry, we can change, you can go in and change them. A PIN number, which you will set and you will personalize once you begin to register account. If you forget that, that's certainly okay too, because you can go in and reset that. So all of these security questions, PIN numbers, oh, I forgot my password. If you're anything like Margaret and I, you have 50 million of them, and it's hard to sometimes remember. And so there's a way that you can reset those, and we talk about that process in our account registration training, and it's also in all of our account registration documents. So never fear, there is that information available. And then there's a few important notices to be mindful of with security and a disclaimer. And then once all of that information is filled out, you'll have this wonderful submit button. It will highlight blue because all the information is there, and you'll be able to hit submit. And then you'll get a wonderful message that says your permit has been submitted to DEQ, and you are good to go. So this process of walking through, starting with basic information, attachment, payment, review, and submittal. Notice here, I was navigating between tabs, but I'm not having to go back to other pages. I'm not having to flip through a paper, multiple pieces of paper for an application. Everything is done right here, and we're moving from left to right. And so one of the things that I really appreciate with the system, and I talk about with a lot of folks, is that we have predictability here. We're always going to have the basic information, and we're always going to end with that submittal tab. Margaret, anything to add here?
Yeah, I wonder if people can guess what happens next. So you send in your submittal, and if you're curious about where things stand, what would you do? What would you do to find out where your submittal is? And I have an answer for you, but I just wanted to see if anyone wanted to volunteer an answer in the chat. What do you think, based on what you've seen so far, what would make the most sense if you're wondering, what happened to my submittal? What stage is it in? And you can feel free to add that to the chat. Thank you, Molly. Answers, everybody. Yeah, you can go to your dashboard. You can check status of your submittal. You can see what phase it's in. There's typically a little bar to the right where you can see when you click on that submittal, you can look at it and say, oh, look, it's been accepted. It's currently with DEQ. And the next step that's coming up will be that it gets mailed or something like that. So whatever those stages are, you get some transparency around that. You don't have to pick up the phone. You can just log in and look at your dashboard. Kimmy, I'm sorry, you're going to get a lot fewer calls once the system is up. You might be calling others just to talk to them, but we're here to talk with you. So it does mean more interface through this electronic system, but it does mean you have the information at your fingertips. So no need to track down phone numbers. It's all right here. And then can people guess, let's say you need to renew a certificate. This is also the system that you would do, that you would use to do any renewals. If you had a change of address, you would go ahead to My Account, the little ID badge, and update that. As Jessica said, if you needed at any point to update your password or PIN, change those, you can go to that tab. So in the My Account view, you can see here, again, there's this steps across the top. There's like tabs across the top to navigate through: basic information, account type, password, PIN, security questions, consultants, because in some programs they delegate access to be able to start applications, although the person with the main account always needs to be finalizing that submittal. License info in this case, and then verification. So verification is part of the account setup. This is how we're able to do business through an electronic system. The EPA requires us to do business with our public in a certain way. We're delegated by the Environmental Protection Agency for a number of compliance mechanisms, many of them. And in order to do an electronic interface with our customers, we need to make sure that we validate identities. So there's an identity validation step that is electronic and instantaneous, but it doesn't always work. Let's say your address that you enter is as recent as within 6 months, like if you've moved within 6 months, maybe it'll bounce back. But we also have a backup process to do the identity validation through paper. So, and it would be the last paper form you'd need to submit for this at DEQ, but it would allow you to transition to electronic. That's the kind of thing that we cover in account registration. So when this system is getting ready to go live for wastewater operators, we will be letting you know through GovDelivery. We'll be letting you know, so we're going to encourage people to sign up and stay informed by signing up for the GovDelivery list. And I don't know if there's a way, maybe we can add that to the chat, that hyperlink, so people can click on it if they like, because you wouldn't be able to click on it in the slides right here. What we'll be doing is making those account registration webinars available on our typical Your DEQ Online help page. You can see a link to account registration. We ask people not to register their accounts early because the data hasn't been migrated yet. The system hasn't been prepared yet. So if right now you could sign up for an account for Your DEQ Online, but what we're asking people is only do that if you currently do business with programs using the system, because their data has been migrated and they are in use currently. When you're setting up your account and selecting which environmental interest, and that would be wastewater operators, or it would be stormwater or 401 or whatever the environmental interest is. When you click that, it needs to be available in the system for you to select it. It gets linked to your account. So please hold off on setting up accounts if you don't already do business with DEQ for other programs. But we will be there to help you get that going when the time comes, either late fall, early winter, whenever that timeline is. And again, through GovDelivery, you're going to be able to stay informed about the timeline. You'll see notifications about which programs are launching when, and any other changes and updates for the system.
Thank you. We have 10 minutes left. And we also have a question. Will you cover data submittals and any templates, for example, like NPDES permits?
So if we go back to that slide, Jessica, of which programs are covered, that would be a good one to look at. We can show you here all of the programs that are in scope for this project. They do include NPDES and WPCF general and individual permits, but it's not bold as you see on the slide, so it's not live yet, but it will be in the next, let's say, it's hard to estimate because our go live dates are being recalibrated for the project work, but I would say in the next year we're likely to be launched by that time. So yeah, NPDES and WPCF general and individual permits, the WPCF on-site permits, on-site sewage disposal service, obviously wastewater operator certification. Those are the water quality programs that have yet to migrate into the system. If you have any crossover like environmental cleanup or let's see what else might be crossover. Yeah, if you have any other crossover, you can see where the other programs stand too, but that specific question, that's how I'd answer that. Again, no specific date at this time. Any other questions about any of this? Oh, that's a really good question. So Daniel's asking if there would be reminders for renewals. That's a really good question. And Kimmy, I'm not sure if you're able to answer that. I think that it is I believe it's a feature that can be programmed into the system, but it may,
Yes.
I don't know program by program. Okay, great. Yeah, so that will be the case. Great.
We will send out some form of notification because right now our rules state that we have to notify you via mail. So that'll be via email in the future.
Great. And Jessica added a link to the GovDelivery sign up. If you click on that, it immediately takes you to our GovDelivery pages, which are how you sign up for bulletins for different programs at DEQ. And that one is specific to Your DEQ Online. There's sometimes very general bulletins and sometimes more specific. It won't be specific only to wastewater operators. It'll be anyone using the system. So I encourage you to click on that to stay informed. Also, another question from Dina, will Your DEQ Online be interfaced with CDX? I'm not sure what CDX is. I think that there are some issues around what can interface. For instance, I think that with it may be cleanup, but it also may be emergency response at DEQ. There are certain systems that are outside of DEQ that it won't be interfacing with. I'm not sure what CDX is. Maybe someone can help me understand what that is, and then I can answer that. It's the NPDES reporting system. Okay. I don't have an answer to that because I'm not knowledgeable enough about the NPDES permits. But wherever we can interface, we will. And there are some limitations to that. So I would say wait and see on that, but we will really, this whole spirit of the project is how do we make life easier for all of us to get on with the work that we need to do without additional administrative layers, right? How do we streamline the administrative pieces, not just for DEQ staff, but for public members of the public who need to go through these application and renewal processes. The net DMR question. Okay, now I'm getting it. So I believe we have shifted, and for stormwater at least, and the target is to also make a change with the NPDS WPCF in that way. So the DMR reporting, yes, will be done through this system. So I hope that helps. I don't know exactly how it works, not technically savvy about it, but I know that NetDMR, the EPA system, has been known to be a cumbersome one, a little tricky and difficult on the learning curve. What I have heard is using Your DEQ Online in lieu of that, once you make that transition, that it is an easier interface. People have reported that it is easier to make that transition. And Mark is saying, contact me if you need any assistance with NetDMR. Great.
And Margaret, can I put in a plug for some training assistance that we offer when the system goes live? Margaret and I work together to, as I mentioned, there is an account setup process. And so we have a user guide that we have put together. We also do live Zoom webinars, just as this one, where we walk folks through the system and show folks how to set up an account and how to get the ball rolling with account setup. And those are also recorded as well. So we have 3 layers of training experiences. We have, PDFs, we have live experiences, and we have recorded experiences as well to help with this process once you go live in 2023. We're going to be continuing outreach, so you'll probably see us and Kimmy and Tiffany throughout this year and into 2023. And we're here to support. We're here to support and provide outreach, and particularly around go live time. Margaret and I really we hit the pavement with outreach and really providing assistance with account setup and account registration. To be sure to answer questions and to provide that support for how to get your account going and how to start those wastewater operator submittals, how to start that submittal process. So stay tuned. There's a lot of training support, and we're really excited to welcome you into the Your DEQ Online community and to begin using the system. And if you're already using the system, awesome. It's wonderful to see all of the folks connect. And if you're already, as I said, working in the system with stormwater, 401, or in other programs, we'll be working within it for wastewater. We're really excited to add that layer of service. Margaret,
I'm wondering if there are any last questions before we wrap up. I think we're at our time. And I think that the chat has gone quiet, but please do reach out to us. If the moderators get more questions, you can feel free to send them our way, and we'll do our best to answer those. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about this today. It is a massive, it's a digital transformation for DEQ, and we're really excited about it. We're excited to bring it to you, and we're going to look forward to talking more about this with you. So thank you so much for having us today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And with that, we are just